Yes, my name is Jahai Israel. I'm speaking now to everybody with 2 arms, 2 legs, 10 fingers, and 10 toes. This is for you. The world is in a satanic deception. I don't like saying this, but it's the truth. I have to bring the truth and bring reality. Right now, Earth, as it's set up right now, is a conveyor belt to hell, because we were created by a spiritual God. We're spiritual beings, and we don't even grasp the reality of our existence. A major part of our life is a complete mystery. We're not teaching our kids about it, and it's the most important part of our life, and it's called the spiritual side of life. By not knowing about the spiritual side of life, we are spiritually blind, and the world is set up to create human beings that are spiritually blind because the world is being led by the devil. The people are following the devil, and that's why the people are spiritually blind. When you're spiritually blind, you don't know about the warfare that God tells us about in the Bible, about the spiritual warfare between righteousness and evil. And if you don't know about that war, then you cannot win the war. Now, God created us where everybody on the planet is made in the image of God. God created spiritual beings, and He created spiritual beings so that we could follow His way and fulfill the reason why He created us. Right here now, the number one question in the world is, what is the purpose of our existence? If the number one question in the world is, what is the reason for our existence, that shows you that the world is being led by the devil. The only reason we don't know in 225 what we're here for is because this devil is deceiving the whole world. All right? So Christianity started in Africa. Life started in Africa. Christianity started in Africa. That's what we don't know. Right now, the world, we don't know the true history of creation. Okay? In 2025, we're walking around, running around in this materialistic system, and we do not understand the true history of creation. Why don't we know the true history of creation? There's a reason why we're ignoring it. And the reason we're ignoring it is because right now we're set up on a inverted racial hierarchy, and the people who are dominating this inverted racial hierarchy do not want the truth to be known. True history of creation, science has already proven that life started in Africa, and the first people on the planet were black. If we're not grasping that reality, then we're not living how God wanted us to. God created, everything was done for a reason and a purpose. God created us first, and we have to embrace that reality. By letting another race say that they were created first and they're running, our whole history is based on what this other race is saying, we're not doing the will of God. Okay? But we might not know that we're not doing the will of God because true Christianity is not being preached and taught to the people. And if the people don't know the true Christianity, then they're going to be lost, like the world is lost right now. To not understand the true history of creation in 2025 is a satanic deception. Black people were made first, and the other races came out of them. It had to be the dark race first, because other races cannot come out, other skinned races cannot come out of light-skinned people. Dark-skinned races cannot come out of light-skinned people. Lighter skins can come out of the darkest. The darkest race had to be here first. This is basic logic, basic understanding. That's what I mean when I say we're not grasping the reality and putting it together correctly to know certain things. We're not putting it together correctly because we would know these things already. For this still to be like a mystery and not openly talked about in society, it means that we're under a satanic deception. We don't even understand the true history of creation, meaning that life started in Africa. So if life started in Africa, I'm saying Christianity started in Africa as well. In the Bible, I'm following the Bible. The Bible says our Creator had hair like wool and skin like burnished brass. That's not white. That's the darker set of people, the African people, that's black people. And if we don't understand that God is black and black people are the true children of Israel, it proves my point that the world is under a satanic deception. How is God's people being treated in this world right now? God's people are being treated the worst. We're at the bottom of the inverted racial hierarchy. So in a satanic world, that makes absolute sense. In a satanic world, God's people are at the bottom, just like we see every day. But the other point that I have to bring up is that they're hiding spirituality from us. We are spiritually blind. No, to be spiritually blind means that we're being led by the devil. It's the devil who's keeping us spiritually blind and don't want us truly connected to our true spiritual creator. The reason he keeps us spiritually blind is so that we're easily controlled by the spiritual warfare. Now, Christ, when he came, he taught his disciples. The message that the disciples left is now become the creed of the first Christian church in the world, which is the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. The first Christian church in the world tells us that in our body, there's a spirit in our body that is the life of the body, that makes the body move. We know that when the spirit leaves the body is dead. We see this in animals and humans, and I've seen it throughout all our existence. When the spirit leaves, the body is dead. And then now here God is telling the first Christian church in the world that the spirit, the life of the body, is holy and pure in all. The creed of the first Christian church in the world tells us that the life of the body, the spirit of the body, is holy and pure in all. That's one of the tenets of the first Christian church, the Ethiopian Orthodox Creed. The life of the body is holy and pure in all. When God is telling us that, he's telling us that there's no racism. He said it's holy and pure in all. So there's no racism. The whole idea, so when a negative thing enters into our life as part of our history, where did that negative thing come from? From the devil that God told us about was trying to ruin his plan. When we read the holy book that describes how we're formed with 2 arms, 2 legs, 10 fingers, and 10 toes, we're made in the image of Christ. When we read the book that Christ teaches us, he teaches us that he has an enemy. His father has an enemy that's trying to defeat his plan, trying to mess up his plan. And that's where these negative things come from. Racism, war, because the truth of the matter is God put us all here to share the earth. We're all brothers and sisters and to live as one. Instead of that, we fight in war and fight over the things that God give us. We have war and racism and all kind of injustices every day, and that shows you that Satan is running this world. In a godly world, these injustices would not be here. When you see these injustices every day, when you have to step out, when you know that if you step out the door of your house, you could get shot. Anything could happen. You could get knifed. Everybody leaves in the morning, they might not come home in the evening. It's because we're in a satanic world that we do not even understand who our God is, where we come from, where we go when we die. That's a satanic world. Okay? So right now, like I said, God didn't just leave without giving us a message. He gave us a message in how to live so that we would understand what our existence is all about. The only problem is he gave the first Christian church in the world was with the first people he created in the world. That's with the African people. And because of the inverted racial hierarchy and the racism that we've accepted, we've never looked in the African dark-skinned people for the message that Christ left. We're not looking there. So therefore, nobody knows that he tells us in this message that our spirits are holy and pure in all. And he also says in the message that our souls are immortal and do not perish with the body. So they're hiding the fact that our souls are immortal. Why is that important? That's important because when you know that your soul is immortal and doesn't perish with the body, it changes how you think. You have to change the way you perceive this whole existence. That shows you if our souls are immortal, but we know our bodies are not immortal. Our bodies only last for 70, 80, 90 years right now. And so if our souls are immortal, what God is telling us, he's telling us about the spiritual side of life, that nobody else is telling us about. God is telling us, be ready, because don't worry about death in this life. Be worried about the second death, which is part of Christianity that God talks about. And to make that make sense, God has told us in the original message that, listen, your soul is immortal. It's about what you do in this life is what God is watching. What God is saying, He's watching to determine where we rest for eternity. That's the meaning of life that nobody is getting, because true Christianity is not being preached. The meaning of life is this life here. Doesn't matter who's got the most money, who's got the most cars, who has the most women. Those things don't matter. What matters is if you follow God's ways and show yourself to be worthy to live with God forever. That's what true Christianity is trying to teach people, but we're not grasping it. With the Christianity that's around the world is not even telling us that your soul is immortal. That's showing you that the world is under a satanic deception. If one of the main tenets of Christianity is not being told to people and changing how we think, then that the world is under a satanic deception. That's the proof. And God is explaining all of this in the creed of the first Christian church in the world, but it's not being passed on. And that's because of a satanic deception. And He tells of this in the Bible. And the satanic deception, God knows is going to be here, and that's why He says in Revelation 12, verse 9, that Satan deceives the whole world. Okay? Well, that's the reality of our existence right now. Now, they're hiding the spiritual side of life from us. But I want to bring up the insanity of our reality. Okay? Now, if Satan's deceiving the world, like I'm saying, and he is, then our reality would be insane. And that's exactly what it is. Right now, yesterday, or the day before, they made an announcement. They're saying that the national debt of the country of the United States, the interest in our national debt is more than our military budget. That's insane. Because the military budget right now this year has reached to over $1 trillion. And if our national debt, if the interest of our national debt is more than our military budget, the number one thing we spend money on is our military budget. If the interest from the money that we have borrowed is more than our the military budget, that shows you that the people who are in control of the account of the country, you have their money for the country, you're in charge of this account. Now, maybe you made mismanagement, you made a mistake, and you went over a little bit. You borrowed some money and you shouldn't have. Okay, people make mistakes. Maybe, you don't know how to manage well, and so yes, you've made mistakes, you've overborrowed. But what you have to do to run the debt up so much that the interest from the debt is more than the national military budget, that means you ran the account like you hated these people. In order to run it up that incredible height, you had to hate these people. And it's proof, again, that I'm saying the world is under a satanic deception.